I want to introduce you to our viewers real quick, and then we'll jump right into it. I'm really excited. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I get to ask you some questions. You're one of my favorite players.
Thank you.
Um, we have with us today Mr. Luca Cupido, a four-time All-American, national champion at Cal, a three-time Olympian, and recent bronze medal winner at the Paris Olympics. Um, Luca, kind of what I want to do today is two things. I want to talk to you a little bit about this amazing Olympic run you had, and then I also want to pick your brain a little bit. We have a lot of young players that watch this, and a lot of coaches, and they can gain a lot from your perspective and your experience. So I want to give them a little bit of information as well. So I want to start with the
Thank you,
Olympic
David.
run. Yeah, absolutely.
And
First of
hi,
all,
everyone.
go ahead.
As I was saying hi to everyone who's joining.
Awesome. I thought you started against Italy, where you were born, and I thought it was a little rough that first game. You guys didn't get the ball into Hallock very much that game. Made a couple unforced errors, and then I thought from there you guys got better. Is that the sense you had as well, or am I off on that?
I think it's fair to say, and in a way, I also think it comes down to matchups. I do think we do, for some reason or another, never play our best games against Italy. I think they're. I grew up there. I know how they play. They're always trying to like find a smart way to trick you in a way. So like they're always like trying to be playing fast, but also getting in quick gaps. In the quick gaps, or like trying to play on your mistakes. And the first, it was the first game of the tournament as well. So there was a lot of nerves, like because like so try to get that out of the way. But maybe if that game was at the end of the group stage, it would have been a totally different game. And as you said, we progressed throughout the tournament. We needed to win our game against Montenegro to advance to the quarterfinals, and I think that was like a very mature game from all the guys because it was like a win or go home game, and that really showed who I think we were and are as players and as like as athletes because like we were able to then perform under pressure and knowing that the fate of our all the hard work that we put was in that game. And then once that game, we won that game, I told the boys that we had a chance to do great and just needed to believe and build on that game and we did.
Were you surprised, given the fact that I thought Italy looked really good? Are you surprised they didn't do better in the tournament? I mean,
Not particularly, because it's such a weird tournament. It's such a weird tournament. You look at it, it really depends when you peak. You look at
yeah.
Spain, you look at Spain, like, everyone thinks they're gonna get the gold. They're supposed to get gold in Tokyo too. And they start 5 games in a row winning, and then they lose and they end up six. So it really comes down to performing. You need to survive almost the first week and and then be able to peak in the second week. Like if in a crazy way, Serbia, last 3 Olympics, barely made the out of the group stage.
Hmm.
Even in Rio, they're almost to the last game out of the. They could have been out of the top four in their group stage, and then they managed to win gold. The same thing in Tokyo and now here. So I think it really doesn't matter how you start. It matters how you end, of course, and how you build throughout the tournament. But yeah, definitely Italy, Spain, Greece, they're all there's like 7 to 8 teams that couldn't believe to medal. And so it was a very like balanced tournament for sure.
I totally agree with that. I'm glad you brought up Spain because they killed it in that first those opening rounds, and then they just had that inopportune loss, and then they're done. It's
Yeah, in a way, Spain, it's they're very talented and I thought they were a very complete team. And but I don't know. I think that throughout the last like 6, 7 years, they haven't accomplished as much as like their full potential that their squad had.
Mhm.
And sometimes it comes down again to could be pure luck on that specific day or what you want to call it. But they had a very powerful team, and they're very young as well, so I'm sure they will be competitive in the future. Even though I don't know what's Felipe Perone his programs are. Like I think he plays a major role for that team. Like he's able to balance both the defense and the offense
Hmm.
for them. So like they're gonna be, if he's deciding to be done, they're gonna be a very different type of team, and then there's gonna be a big loss for them. They'll have to find a guy that is creating, organizing their offense, organizing their defense, and be willing to sprint back when some of their best shooters taking a lot of shots that are not scoring. Because that's all he was doing at 39, which is so impressive to watch. Like he was like willing to like cover for other young players that were taking, a lot of shots and maybe missing, but he was like still like believing in them, and because they had a good like track record, and he was just like putting them in the best position to be successful and allowing him to be mentally free to play, which is very important if you're a veteran guy trying to give confidence to the younger guys.
That sounds a lot like what your role was on this team.
I'm definitely like you. There's definitely a player that I like to what we have different body types and different set of skills, but I, I do think I shape a little bit my idea of like controlling the pace of the game
Yeah.
and being make sure that we're always in a good like setup offensively and defensively, and also like making sure that one big thing for us was like we always could create a lot of offense, and sometimes we got like we're not protecting the ball too much,
Hmm.
and we were like maybe forcing sometimes on the offense, and then we will get punished on the defense. So like I think a point of emphasis for me and the full all team as well was like to respect the ball. We called it. That's what we called it. Respect the ball and protect it, and like don't make unnecessary turnovers. And if we had to dump the ball like 2, 3 time possessions to be in a good like defensive like position, it's not pretty to watch, but it's definitely successful because at least we think that we could play like any team in 6-on-6 like a scenario on the defense end, rather than like having teams going a counterattack and punish us there.
Hmm. I thought the pivotal game for me watching you guys was that one against Australia. Um, and that's the one that, I mean, really, I was rooting for the US team, obviously, but man, that got me fired up. After that Hooper brutality, now you played with Hooper at Cal, right? He was one of your teammates.
Correct. Yeah.
He's not a dirty player, is he?
No, no, it's exactly. Unfortunately, like, the rules change sometimes, like, and the less worlds underwater cameras were allowed, and now the Olympics were not allowed. But he definitely got hit prior underneath the
Yeah.
water, and his was just a reaction to being punched underwater. As you can see, even the hand is he hits the guy with an open hand, not with like a punch. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit unfortunate that how like the use of the VAR was selected. We experienced it in the past, unfortunately, most couple times, 2 or 3 times, and they always hurt us. So I think the biggest part of this game for us suffering a brutality was that we were a very compact team. Like we knew that we put so much like work in it that we needed to overcome this one. We
Mhm.
couldn't like we need like to just we knew that I also I think very important that the brutality happened in the first part of the game, because it gave us time then to get catch back on the result and eventually like bring it to penalties, or we could even win it in like a regular time. But if you get a brutality at the end of the game, that would hurt us, and I don't know like if you can come back in that if that happened in the fourth quarter. But we were good of like staying focused on the defense, and I think we only gave up like 1 or 2 goals during that time.
After
And that,
the 4 minute man up, it was 5-2. So I think you only gave up two goals.
yeah, because that was all like unfortunate because we max scored and then they went to VR, took that goal
They took the
off,
goal away.
and
I
then
remember.
and then they went for we had a great defensive game at effort. I think they went 18 minutes without scoring in the third, and they only scored the last couple minutes of the fourth when they went up again. But for a while, we kept him for 18 minutes, I believe, without scoring, which is pretty pretty impressive in a way, like not to keep that mental focus on defensive end. And I think it really came from us looking at each other and be like, you know what, we need to overcome this one. It is what it is. We've been in this situation before. It's time to like win these like close games and luck, also some luck, of course, because like, but you build your own luck in a way. And
Hmm.
we had some karma from the past as well, for sure.
What's interesting, you said the word overcome because as I was watching the game, I was thinking if these guys could keep it close, they could take this game. You could just feel it. You guys had a resolve to you, almost like we're not going to let this bad call mess up our Olympics and define us as a team, right? Did you get that sense as well?
Yeah, no, it's definitely like we got into the game like knowing that with no like trying to be arrogant, but I think you need to have a little sport. I always say we call it sport arrogancy. I think we felt that we were better than Australia
Yeah.
and that we would win that game. And no matter what, we knew it was going to be a close game to start with because the quarterfinal, they were having a good rhythm, they were feeling mentally free from everything, from having a good start and winning some games. So we knew it was going to be a tough game, even though with the brutality. I still think we had a chance to win because as I thought, as long as we kept it close enough and we're not giving up too many goals during those 4 minutes, we had a chance to come back. And yeah, I think it was a pivotal game for us. I think historically we always like, I think also comes from historically we always like did pretty well against Australia. Like, so knowing that, I don't know, I think when you have a positive results against a team constantly throughout the years builds a little bit of confidence that you can keep beating them. And that was the case for us against Australia. Like maybe we suffered other teams in the past, like we suffered maybe in Italy. Italy's beat us quite a bit in the past. Maybe they had that a little mental edge over us sometimes, and that's probably the same for us about Australia. I think they probably, I don't know if they got scared to win or we were confident about winning. I don't know.
You said sport arrogancy. Is that the term?
Yeah, like I think Coach Udovich also says it, like, and I completely agree. You need to. I personally embrace it myself every time. I don't think. I'm sure like you need to get in the water thinking no one is better than you, and I'm sure like offensively there's more probably talented people than me. I'm not the fastest. I'm not the strongest shooter. I'm not all the things, but I believe it to my heart that there's not one player that can beat me individually on the defensive end, and maybe it will happen because like in multiple matchups it could happen that you lose a matchup. But I going into the like one-on-one battle, I always believe that I can shut it down and I can be better. I think that's the attitude you need to have when approaching the game. And because that gives you the mental like freedom to perform, knowing that you know what, just I'm better than you, can prove if you're better, but I still think I'm better. And that gives you peace of mind of like don't, because if you're nervous about it, you're not confident in yourself, like you're gonna be tense and your muscle will be tense.
Hmm.
And you're not gonna be able to react as quick as you want as the opponent makes a move. So I think you need to be very. It's a positive arrogance. You're not like you're respecting everyone. You respect the talent, but of every player for sure, because there's so many talented players. But you need to approach the game knowing, thinking that no matter what, you're better than that. I think that's huge.
I think I totally agree with you. That's why I wanted you to define it further. I see a lot of time. I was a youth coach for many years, and I saw it a lot. The kids would come on the deck, and if they saw the opposing team was maybe a little bit bigger than them, they started to freak out. And I'm like, you guys already lost the game.
For
You
sure.
can't walk on the deck and think you're going to get beat or think you can't compete. It's like, let's go. I'm here. You got to beat me. Prove you can beat me. You know what I mean? I belong here. That kind of mentality.
And I think it then it adds up as if every player on a team has the same approach, and then you build one common sport urgency. But it really is crucial for the one-on-one battles because our sport, it really is one-on-one. Like, yes, you can play do a great like 6-on-5, great defensive. Like, but at the end of the day, like every play, if you break it down, it's 1-on-1. Am I shot blocking? Am I scoring against this guy? Am I like defend? Like it all counts 1-on-1. So like, and if all the team has the same attitude, then you build a culture, a team culture that is shaped on that. And it takes time, and it takes like uh but you gotta believe it from the start. If you don't believe it, it's just not. For sure, some results will help like solidify your beliefs, but it doesn't just happen. Like you really have to believe it to your heart.
Yeah, you can't fake it.
No, totally.
Did you happen to watch any of the games back and listen to the commentary by Azevedo?
I actually the other day I watched. I haven't watched much. I only watched our bronze game, and but I've been told like Tony had a great, very good words for me, and I really, Tony's like it was a great captain for me in 16, and he's always like person that you want to like consult and like uh, and get his pick his brain. And funny story also, like I have a special connection myself with the Azevedo family. How it's like Tony's dad Rico was the coach in Camogli at the time in my club in Italy,
Oh, okay.
and that's at the time and my brother was playing. So he was one of the main uh, like he told my brother like why you don't go play in the US and try to experience a college experience. And that's how all the ball started rolling. And my brother went to college to Berkeley, and I followed him in Berkeley and eventually switched citizenship to like join the US team. So
Oh,
I I own a like I own definitely a lot to that the Azevedo like family and Tony too, because I really enjoyed playing with Tony, and I did wish he was younger in a way when I started, so we would have more years together. I think he's one of those players that you enjoy playing because it doesn't take words in exchange, but just like the look of the eyes, and you know what his move is, and
mhm.
so like you can kind of read each other off like just your eyes, which for me, for a player who's just looking to like set up someone else or understanding like just play off a quick game of like brain more than I'm not the fastest. Like I'm always trying to position myself before something happens. But and he's the same. Like even he's way quicker, but he always like would being smaller, he would have to like think ahead of like his opponents. So it was a pleasure to playing with him, and he's doing great for the program of like water polo in general in the US, and hopefully he can keep growing it.
Yeah, he said you can tell he really likes you. But he compared you and Hallock to Stockton and Malone. He said you and Hallock were the Stockton and Malone of water polo. And then he said you and Hallock were the Kobe and Shaq because you were feeding Hallock so well in 2 meters.
Yeah, I really enjoy playing with Ben, and Ben definitely he came in 16 being the younger center, so being a center is always harder to as you have to develop physically. But you could tell from the start that he had like something special. Like his handles were always great, the positioning, and again, me and Ben can just like look at each other, and I know when he wants the ball, and I know like there's some things that we tried in practice that we figured out we could do this pretty much at will. Like when for example, if we start, whenever we're starting from the goal line, from half the left line, and I will like try to spin my guy, and he will steal his guy around like 4 or 5 meters, and then I would just drop it in front, and it's something that we just figure like, oh, this works very easily, and no one ever seemed to understand how to defend it when they were trying to go a full press.
Yeah.
and and then you just figure that out, and like, okay, what if they come early on defense, let's do this instead of. So I really enjoy playing with Ben. He's a very smart player, and he's, besides being like a big boy like he is, as I said, he also has very good hands for being a center, and trying to always like he can play with both left and right, which is not every center can do that. Some big centers maybe will just like go there and try to get exclusion, and but not move much laterally like he does. He's able to do both, move like laterally and with like his back to the cage, or also like with the defender fronting him. So he's very versatile in his position.
So that's actually a good lesson for the kids that want to play center out there. Work with your left hand, work with your right hand,
And
be able to
that,
move laterally, be able to work with the front and with the guy behind you.
yeah, no, for sure. You always have to leverage the defender. Like there's like it's not like always there is like a lot of like, even I myself, I when I go like play center, whenever there's a need, I do feel like there's not always a physical contrast. Sometimes you just have to understand the angles of like, maybe his front may take one stroke. As long as I seal him for those 2 seconds, I don't have to win the physical like battle for like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
As long as like I understand, I can get his hips in the wrong position, or like get the right angle and seal it for enough time where the ball can swing, and then you did your job. So like, yeah, I think that you have to like be versatile, as I said, of like being able to play like pushing your defender to the 2 meter line when you're playing that zone, and keep the defense like the line very low,
Hmm.
but also like be able to play when the team is trying to press, like ceiling, but also understanding that there's other ways to receive the ball. I think Ben is a great example of like a versatile center.
Taking what the defense is giving you instead
For
of trying
sure.
to force it.
For sure. For sure.
I have to go back to something you said because I think this might be one of the things I wanted to bring up. You said that one of the things you developed with Hallock is this idea that you sealed your guy and then you passed it into him.
So
Did that
like
mean you got inside water on your man and then passed it into him? Is that what you're saying?
so yeah, like I would like, yeah, exactly, spin like if I get the ball and the guy attack me, I would either spin this outside or inside, and then stay strong on my legs, keep the ball away from the defender. And he eventually will, and I was waiting for Ben to seal his guy. And then when he was ready, I was able to either to drop it in the water or above, or a little lob above the defender, because especially when they're playing pressing, like if Ben was able to seal them a, a little bit further away from the cage, it gave me room to like play with like the open space of the water.
Hmm.
Okay, I can see it. Maybe it's a lob over the top for him, or if he seal them laterally, I will just do like a little skip, a little pass to the hand directly, a skip pass to the hand, so he can just like take it and spin aside, maybe for a penalty or a quick exclusion.
You would do a skip pass set?
It's not really a skip. It's like the little like
Oh, a
off the
little flip
wrist,
pass.
the
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
flip pass, a little flip
Okay.
pass. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. So, when you have that turn, when you're doing that turn, that means that at any moment for those 3, 4 seconds, you can pass the ball at any moment at the exact moment he needs it, right?
So like yeah, like so like I always tell like the guys, if I'm starting position three was like the center defender position, and then I'd always tell the guys on the sides to keep their players engaged, so I don't have anyone coming to disturb me, and it gives me
Yep.
time to like play with that open water.
Yep.
And once I hit like that 180 turn almost, where I have my head here, even if I have a defender here and I'm here,
Hmm.
I don't need to be fully turned. I can just pass it off my wrist.
Yeah.
Like as long as I have my arm not touched and my wrist, even if my shoulder is taken, as long as I have my wrist ready to go, I felt confident in making that pass, like either a lob pass or a little skip, a little skip pass to the hand.
And see, so that's good for the young players too, because even if the defender is hammering you, you still have your wrist to snap that
Yeah,
pass in,
but
right?
it's all comes from it all really comes down to your legs, really, because you need to be strong on your legs, and again also leveraging the player. I use a lot of my left hand if to move the player. So if he's
Hmm.
attacking me, I under the armpit, I move it this way. If I'm trying to go inside, I move it this way. But all comes to the legs. It's really, if you think about it, if you look the games against Japan,
Hmm.
they're very small, so a lot of teams needed to think about like move, almost dribbling the player with the ball in their hand.
Okay.
And if as long as you feel comfortable with like the pressure of the player and just moving with the ball around, then you can apply it to any other team. And because the leverage is the same, doesn't really matter how heavy like you are, as long as if he's jumping on the ball and you like spinning around, you can get your hand free. And you want to, of course, always say you want to have your wrist. If I'm passing it there, I want to have my wrist this way, so it's already going. I want to hold the ball this way. I don't want to hold it here because then at that point maybe I have to turn it, and then I have a risk of losing it. So I'm already holding it. It's like this. I'm already
Yeah.
holding the ball here, and another important thing, you want to keep your elbow also a little bit away because you don't want to have your elbow hit, then you lose the ball. So
Okay.
as much as possible, you want to keep. They can be on your shoulder, but like from the elbow down, you want to have it free to pass it.
Okay. And you say this because you're usually over at that 4-5 side, right?
I usually like to do this movement when I'm starting when after we just got scored and we starting from the line and I'm a position. I receive the ball from Ben, so I'll be like almost to where that center defender would be. Like I take the ball back
Okay.
when I take the ball back, then like their center or whoever is attacking that position comes on me, and then I tell like 1, 2, 4, 5 just to stay wide, and then it's just like
Just you
me
and Ben.
me at the top and Ben at the center, just doing a 2-on-2 game.
So, I'll just say one more question on this because I find this interesting. I noticed at no point when you're talking about what you're doing, are you saying I'm trying to draw a foul? Is that because one of my things that bothers me when I watch high school water polo is I see players instantly go to draw a foul. Then 2 meters becomes available and they're not ready to make the pass in because now the ball's out of their hand. Now they got to go get it. And now there's this like 2-second delay. But
Totally. I
what I'm
think
hearing from you is you're not doing that, so you don't have that delay. Is that something by design? Like, would you encourage players not to draw the foul?
I think there's that for when you're trying to pass it to center, 100%. Like you, when you're gonna get the foul, you want to immediately, you don't want to go on the bottom of the pool and come up because then they will people be in a zone already. And if there's no reason, like you want to take the foul immediately up because if they're going at zone, you can pass it right on top of the head of the defender, and that's when they're the defense at its weakest point.
Okay.
If you take the foul, go under, you give the defense will sprint in that zone, then you have to go live, and then sure you'll play in a zone, but like attack. But that's not what you want. If you can
Yeah.
go direct, at the end of the day, you're trying to pass to the center, so why not do it directly immediately? There are times where you want to get fouled, say like I don't know, especially the live subbing. In another situation of the game, live subbing, we're subbing Ben from the side, and we want to give him time to come to the 2 meters. I will go force to get a foul.
Yeah.
I'll attack the opponent to get a foul, so it gives stop the clock, gives Ben time to get a 2 meter, so we can maximize his potential there. And there's always times like where you could if you're smart again. I think all comes with to like playing the game. Like there are times where I do like to provocate the a referee call because like especially if I can tell the defensive player is being lazy and is not doing a proper defense, I like to expose it, like
Mhm.
especially in the perimeter. I can tell like the guy's not trying to press me well, and he's just holding me and being holding my arm and trying to be lazy because he doesn't want to like stay on his legs and like anticipate the pass. And I love that call because especially on lazy defenders, they will like grab your wrist to try to grab you, and I fully show it to the referee as the ball is flying. I would show it that he's not working hard, he's just grabbing it.
Right.
So the referee will like punish a lazy defender, and that's the time I like to expose. Like I like that's the only time I want to get a call on purpose.
Hmm.
Otherwise, yes, you're right. It definitely you want to always like get a foul, but be immediately ready to be moving the ball again.
That's great. I love that. Show the hold. Show it to the referee. Call attention to it. Get your man ejected.
Yeah, like and like you got exactly. Some people on the perimeter don't want to defend, and like you got to like that's their problem,
Yeah.
and and it actually amazed me like how many exclusion of 30 years I got that way. It's like it's amazing. Like if I went through all the games in the past and like counted how as many as I got just that way, I think I got like even one or two against Hungary in the bronze game. It was just like it's very interesting. Like
That's
sometimes like
amazing.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty funny. We always laughing at our teams like how many about those we got.
I just have just a couple more questions, if I can.
Sure.
Who do you think is the MVP on this team?
Uh, I would say definitely like MVP for how like
Well,
unexpected. I think that definitely Adrian had a great tournament, and with the full honesty, like we knew he was as a good goalie, but like we didn't expect him to perform to this level. And but honestly, you need goalies are crucial for a team success in water polo. I'm a big believer that without uh, if goalies don't make blocks they're not supposed to make, sometimes you don't win.
yeah,
Many times if you look in the past, like Italy when they had Tempesti, like or other teams like Croatia with Pavic, like that. So many times when teams do are successful, comes from a goalie having blocks that he's or angles that he's not supposed to cover, but he blocked because that besides giving you a lot of confidence of like, all right, we got this. Like, wow, we got that time we got saved. Let's be more prepared the next time. It really tough for the opponent because like when you think an easy goal was coming, you have it blocked. You're like, okay, and you start like rethinking things like maybe this is not my day or like So I would say definitely for I think Adrian definitely was for how like you think the tournament started too. I don't think he started like all of us. He didn't start great against Italy and Greece as a team. Also as part of like a team, probably like full like defense effort, or I don't think effort, but just like I don't know, probably nerves or something. He ended up finishing the tournament great, but I do think this team is less of individuals and more of a team. Really, we don't have like the I don't know the Mandic or like something like that. So we do have like of course we have like Ben like one of the best centers in the world, and we have like a lot of very good players in every position. But I really think it came down to a collective.
that's interesting. I thought you might say that because when I thought about it, obviously with the shootouts you guys had, you got to give a nod to Weinberg. But then Hallock is drawing so many ejections.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and then Hannes is, scoring a ton of goals. So there's a lot of people that you could talk about. So I think totally agree with you. I think this was a collective group effort.
You definitely need like a spinal cord of like couple position of like like center like goalie center and like couple key roles and then everyone surrounding that. But you need like two three pieces that like give solidify the team. And then, as you said, like then as a collective, maybe like for our shooters, maybe one day is Hannes scoring 4 goals, the other day is Bowen, maybe the other day is Max, maybe
Yeah.
like it's like that. We have a lot of so many like guys that can catch fire very quickly, like Ryder, Johnny. Is like as we always knew that one of them could be doing well one of any other game. So like we were not worried. Like if one guy didn't play well one game, we knew that someone else on our shooters could perform. So, but as long as you're right, as we had like the goalie or centers and like a couple other positions to solidify, then the other shooting and firing will come.
So you've done 3 Olympics. What's the future for you and how do people stay in touch with you? How do you want people to follow you or stay with you?
Now as I said, I'm looking at to get in a little bit on the job train, and I was working a couple of years prior, and but I also like enjoy to keep playing to some level. I don't know, depending on the commitment of my job, and so we'll see what the future holds. If I'm able to, the puzzle can all fit. We'll see in the future what I'm able to do, but I'm reachable. Like if I'm in the US, I'll still go to the college games wherever I'm at. If they're in NorCal, SoCal, or East Coast, wherever I don't even know where I'll be yet, to be honest. So depending on that, I'll be definitely at water polo games, and I'll try to do attend maybe some camps that USA Water Polo like will host, and so
If
I'm
you do if
pretty.
you do camps, let me know and I'll post it to our site and get people into it. Do you want people to follow you on Instagram at Luca Cupido _ or
Sure, I'm I'm not myself a huge poster of like I think I posted after like 2 years or whatever now the medal, but I receive I look at it, so like I receive things, and maybe if I'm depending if I'm back in the US, I will probably host some camps, um and so happy to have, keep the sport growing. I think that's the biggest thing. I think these group of guys like show that like with effort and like like it was not like for not everyone was easy, like you have to commit to the program and like, okay, we're going to go all play abroad and get better and so we know we get better, we get to know our opponents, and we stick together through 2 cycles of the Olympics, which like sometimes doesn't fully happen, and that's one of the reasons we did very well. So it's important that the program keep growing because we have a huge pipeline of kids, and
Mhm.
as long as the pipeline does well, the senior team will do well. A lot of these team in the past for European programs, all the kids start from the pipeline, the youth team, national teams, and then they stick together till like they're older, and that's why they're so knowledgeable about each other and accustomed to playing with one another. And so focusing on the pipeline and standing our pipeline teams to compete internationally is gonna be, I think, and I think Dejan is Udovic is really focusing on that because he understands how crucial the pipeline is. It will be very important because if you can get players to learn how to play with each other from a young age, then you have a core of players that can grow through the years and be successful instead of always replacing, finding a new guy
Yeah.
to fill the gap.
Well, I encourage all the young players and coaches out there to watch you in the Olympics. You're a well-rounded player. You do a lot of things well. You defend, you field block, you score, you facilitate, you pass the ball into 2 meters. I can't say, just from a coaching standpoint, we love players like you that do so much for the team. I can't emphasize enough to the younger players, watch your game, watch Luca play. Watch the different things that he does and become a well-rounded player. Luca, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you, Darius. Thank everyone.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.